I'm here today with Schmier of Destruction to talk about their upcoming new record, Birth of Malice, out March 7th on Napalm Records. It's always a pleasure and an honor to have you on the channel.
My pleasure, Pedro. Long time no see.
Been a long time. And let me start off, even before I ask you any question, let me just say this. This is one of the best records you guys have ever released.
Wow. Thank you.
Like it's definitely the best record you guys have released in a long time, but I'm willing to fight to put this in the top five Destruction albums of all time.
Uh, I signed that. I love the album. I'm satisfied. I still like it. After for us now, we finished the album in summer. So for me, it's now 6 months that I been waiting to do the promotion, and so I still love the album, and that's a good sign. I think we managed to do progress our songwriting and our work together in the last years. The way we record the albums have improved, and now also with Martin being involved in the production and him mixing the record, that was also a big plus this time because he's fresh, he's in the band, he gives a lot of hard blood, Latino style, like very love dedication, so that was great.
You sounded like the best I've heard you sound. You sounded like you were like 18 years, like 18 years old, like you're a young kid again, very hungry. I love your vocals on this album. And
Oh, thank
then
you.
those two guitar guys that you have, Martin and Damon, like those two guys are outstanding.
Yeah, I mean they're both great guitar players, both play differently, and they work good together, and they both let me write and help me when I need them. They're good team players. That's important when you write an album that we're playing guitar-driven music. I need the guitar players to have impact, but also they need to respect my songwriting, but also I let them write when they have good ideas, so the teamwork was great, and I pushed them for all the solos and leads and double leads and harmonics that we have on the album. I think now we have two fantastic guitar players, so we have to show what we got, and I think Birth of Malice reflects a really good the live force that we have. Many people say, "Hey, I saw you live now. The band is stronger than ever." Yeah, but it has to sound like this on album too, and I think we managed to transport this spirit on the record.
Yeah, it was interesting because when I was listening to the album, you could feel like it has this old school essence to it. Like it reminded me of like late 80s, early 90s thrash metal, the way it sounded at that point, but it's not dated. It sounds modern at the exact same time. So it has a lot of old school qualities, but it also has a modern touch to it.
Thank you. I mean, that's of course best of both worlds, right? If you can achieve that, that's always the best way. Because we're a band from the 80s that honors the roots, but we're, reproducing in the year 25. So we don't want to sound like old fashioned, we're trying to find the right direction that we like to be Destruction in 2025, the upgraded version of the 80s band, let's say, and I think we managed well to do this split, because it's sometimes not easy, and whatever you do, you can fail. If you go back too much to the 80s, people are like, oh, this sounds always the fucking same. And if you don't respect the roots and you sound a little bit different, people are like, oh, Destruction, they sound so different, they suck, they don't sound like they used to sound anymore, So basically, you can always only do wrong when you're an 80s band. People will always tell you something that is not what you think, So you just do what you like, and that's the best recipe. We do what we like and how we like the band to sound like. I think this new album has more variety, more guitars, more crazy solos and double harmonies, and it's a Destruction, 2.0. So I'm glad. Also, the reactions on the songs been really good so far. So even we just yes, 2 days ago, 3 days ago, 2 days
Angst
ago,
came out. Yeah.
yeah, Angst came out, and it's such a different song. And I was like, not everybody was convinced to release it as a single. I was like, I was pushing for it
I was going
because
to ask you about that because I,
yeah,
I showed the song to my son on the weekend. I showed him the track. And he's like, oh, I was expecting something faster and whatever. And I'm like,
Yeah,
those songs are in the album too. Like they're there.
yeah, and we basically released 3 songs already: Fast as a Shark, Destruction, and No Kings No Masters. It's all speed metal. So so this song now stands for the different approach on the album, that there's also heavy duty on the album. And Angst has this grim, it's a grim heaviness that the song has. And I like the fact that I have a German word as a title also. And yeah, so it was, in the end, it was a good decision to do it now, because most fans react fantastic. Of course, on YouTube you find some guys like your son that says, where's the speed? Destruction are fucking posers now. But if you go and check out the album, you will see that the
There's
songs
a
you
lot
released
of
so
speed.
far, there's a lot of speed on the album.
Yeah, there's a lot of speed on the album. And that's what I explained to him. I said, listen, in the context of the record, you need a song like this to kind of like allow us to catch our breath. Otherwise,
Exactly.
if every song is fast, 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 then the album gets boring too. So you need to have some ups and downs.
Exactly. I have to mention the New Judas Priest album that also starts with like four bangers. And then the album all of a sudden opens up and gets more diverse and has some very epic songs also. So I think as a band also, we have such a big history, so many songs now, that when I put the set list together, of course, I'm missing to have some more mid-tempo songs to make a set list that is more like even, that is not just fast. Even though I love to play fast, I love to write fast music. It's in my DNA. When I write, I always write fast songs. I'm like, stop. Now you have to write something else. So on this album, we looked a little bit on the beats per minute, and I was like, okay, let's put a little bit more. And also, if you look back at our history, a song like Lie Without Sense on Eternal Devastation, or The Ritual, or Antichrist on the older albums also, they were also some mid-tempo parts and groovy parts. And Live Without Sense is a classic that we still play on every show. Fans love this groovy thrash song. So but I think it's more difficult to write groovy thrash songs. That's, in general, for me, it's more challenging. And I'm glad we did it on this album, and there's some cool turnouts. And yeah.
Yeah, it's a great record. Musically, vocally, even from a lyrical standpoint, I have to ask you that because you really gave us. I think one of the elements of thrash metal that I always liked was the lyrical content. I always felt like it was connected to the period of time in which the albums were written. You could see the youthfulness of who wrote the music in the lyrics, and how upset against the system you are as a young person. We're not young anymore, but on this record, you still pissed about what's happening in the world around you. Uh, the world is giving you enough material for
Oh
for
yeah.
lyrics.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that happened after the pandemic. And when I started writing, I always first write music, and then I put the lyrics right away on the demo. So when I have one song, I'm looking at the atmosphere, what would fit. So when I wrote Destruction, the song, I wanted to write a song that is for the fans, that reflects our past and our bond that we have. But for other songs like Angst, I I tried to write something grim, something with an evil atmosphere, and still is like on the yeah, an actual topic. So I think the best example for this is actually cyber warfare. Something that we think is not so threatening maybe, but then once it happens to us, it's really dangerous. And I think in the COVID times we saw how the countries get divided by opinion makers, over the internet. And Destruction once get attacked by bots when the Russian war started. We had to cancel our Russian tour, and bots attacked our Facebook, and they posted 10,000s of comments. Like, the whole Facebook was like boom, 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 exploding with 10,000 of pro-Russian, pro-war comments. And then I was like, okay, we're a little shit band in the metal world, not important on the political platform at all. and they attack us with 10,000s of bots. Imagine the power this Russian bot army has, you know, and now with AI controlling all that, it's the new warfare. It's you shape your opinion in the internet, and you tell lies, and you make the lies the new truth, alternative truth. I heard it's called now.
Yeah, man. It's by the way, it's one of my favorite songs on the album outside of the singles. I rate that song really high as far as the overall record is concerned because not only it sounds good, the topic is very modern. It's like you can connect with that topic, and I think you present it in a very good way.
Thank you, thank you. I mean, it's a topic that, you know, in the future will all be an important part how the internet will develop. You know, now people are talking. I think in Australia they already started to regulate the internet, right? I think for
I heard
kids.
something about that. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
in Canada too, like you can't post news articles on Facebook. They're blocked. Uh,
Okay.
because there's no way of you knowing if it's real news or if it's fake news, so they just blocked everything.
Yeah. So yeah, my brother is like an IT master, and he also said the day will come that we have to regulate the internet, I guess, because you know it's too much shit going on, and it's too much misuse of the opinion making machine, you know, and it's very interesting topic, of course, to see and watch, and it's just sad to see how it really influences and how it divides to conquer the world at the moment, you
It's
know.
all about money, man. It's all about
Yeah.
money. And it's interesting that you say that because we grew up in an era that if you're doing homework for school, you needed an encyclopedia. You needed a book to read and take note. My son the other day was like, "Oh, I saw it on Wikipedia." And I'm like, "Dude,"
Oh,
I was like,
Wikipedia!
I was like, "Dude,
No, no,
Wikipedia it
no,
doesn't mean it's true. Like
no.
like anybody can go there and change shit up on
Yeah, yeah, but
Wikipedia.
see, the young generation thinks Wikipedia is the source of information.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah,
It really is. I think you did phenomenal with the lyrical content on the album. You pushed that envelope. I think I already recorded my review of the record. So I said on my review that you pushed the envelope between writing stuff that sounds like an old man preaching to the young people. You didn't go that far. You went right at the edge and you stopped there, which was good.
yeah, because I always try to get a message across and not just preach something, you know. Like I'm not a politician. I don't have all the answers, but I see a lot of wrong going on, you know, and sometimes it's just important to say it. And I won't change the world, but for me, also saying it is just a therapy, you know, combined with music. Art is a great factor of freedom of speech and of also a lot of fans sometimes they write me and say, "Hey, thank you for this album. The lyrics really saved my life. You know, I had a difficult part of my life, and I could see people think the same as me, you know." And I think it's important to have something to say as a thrash band, you know. I understand that metal is very diverse, and you know, some people love to write about rainbows and sparkling stars and everything, but
You
you know.
guys, you're not
but
doing that.
but
Go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, but it's for us it's a great thing to it's my personal therapy also to write about those things. And if you say the lyrics fit to the band and to the whole thing, it's the momentum that is important for the band to, you know, to be still accurate in the year 2025 because
Yeah, and I think if you and I think that's one of the aspects of the album that made me feel like a throwback record. It's not like the production is modern, the album sounds modern, but when you look, a lot of thrash metal bands today are talking about whatever. And I remember when I grew up listening to you guys, to Tankard, Creator, Megadeth, whatever, the lyrics were more about what was happening at that point in time. They had more meaning. So as a young person, I could relate to what
yeah,
you guys were talking about. And this album kind of brought it back to how it used to be.
thank you. That's a big compliment. So thank
Ah,
you.
you deserve it because like I was listening to this album and I'm like, holy shit, I don't know what you guys have been doing, but this album sounds tremendous. Not that I didn't like anything that you guys released before, but this is on a different level.
Thank you.
So I really hope everybody feels the same way as I do because
I mean, so
what a
far,
great thrash metal sounding album you guys created.
I mean, I'm doing interviews since a couple of weeks now, and the reactions are good. We also got some title stories in the first magazines now, and it seems to the first reaction is like, wow, this, we didn't expect Destruction to sound that good, so we can still surprise. And yeah, I mean, after 40 years, it's important to still have something to say and still deliver the goods. I look up to bands like Judas Priest. They're older than us, and they just did 2 albums on the road that are masterpieces. And I'm motivated that Destruction can still deliver the best album. And of course, the 80s are the 80s, but I'm always motivated, and I have a great team around me. So
You do, and there's a great leader of the pack in front of that team. And you mentioned a little bit of the fan base, and being a band from the '80s comes with some negativity to it. Does the discography and the legacy of the band weigh heavy on your shoulders? Do you feel the weight of the name Destruction?
no, I think it's more like a gift. It's a motivation, and it's a gift to have written all those songs in the right period of time, to be a part of the metal history. And I still love to play those songs live. Curse the Gods is one of the best live tracks for me to perform. I still love it. And I think I'm a fan too. When I go to shows and I see other 80s bands and they don't play their classics, except ones didn't play Fast as a Shark, I was almost crying. I was like, the show was fantastic, and then where is it? And it didn't. So I totally understand that those 80s classics, they have to be there. And of course, now we have a new album out. We're gonna play a couple of new songs on the new tour, and I'm looking forward to that, because now we did the anniversary tour with a lot of classics, and now it's time for a fresh new set list. But we also will do some anniversary shows for Infernal Overkill, actually. So where we're just gonna perform the whole album. So yeah, it's this. So I don't think it's the 80s are anything bad for us. It's been a big gift to be part of that movement back in the 80s, and it's so crazy if I think about it that people still remember and have such a high opinion about that. Of course, sometimes it's annoying when the guy's like, yeah, but they will never be as good as in the 80s. Yeah, of course. Let this guy be in the 80s. Let him dream about the 80s. It's okay.
Well, let me tell you, I think you look better now than you did in the '80s.
Okay, I heard that before. The 80s were kind of funny sometimes. The pictures. If I look at them, I'm like, oh my God.
You're like, I wish I could delete those. Outside of this new record, because I think this new record, it has to be on everybody's playlist. Specifically, people who love thrash metal have to have this new album on the playlist. But outside of this album, if you got stuck on a desert island, what Destruction record would you take with you?
Ooh, just one.
Just one.
Oh my God. It has to be between the Antichrist and Infernal Overkill. I think the Antichrist was such an important impact on us when we came back, and was the second album after the comeback. And it has some songs that are a big part of the set list, like Nails to the Cross and Thrash Till Death. So I would maybe choose the Antichrist because it's closer in time. Infernal Overkill is far away. It's still great memories, and it's an album that has so many historical songs. But the production of Peter Tadgran on the Antichrist, I think it's more pleasant to listen to nowadays than, even though Infernal Overkill sounds not bad for the time it has on the back, But I think I would go for the Antichrist as my favorite one to listen to.
And now you're going to add this one, Birth of Malice. You're going to add that one to the collection because
I think if I compare both albums, they have they're both like an uprising album for the band. You can feel the band is hot. The band is a unit. We're strong. We want to play. And I think Birth of Malice has this also. We had this lineup had played more than 200 shows together, and the band is on fire. So you need those albums, those special ones, to be recognized. And I think we wrote one of those again now with somebody said to me like lately, "Oh, Destruction in the Third Summer." I know this is a saying too in English, I'm not sure, but in Germany we call it a second summer when the band is reawakening, you know, and the
Yeah, like a
guy,
second life almost.
yeah, like a second life, yeah. So the guy said, yeah, you're in your third summer now with this new album. I said, thank you, you know, because as a band being that long, it's a privilege to be. People have still recognized that the band still develops and still delivers.
I was blown away because you guys, first of all, you sound hungry. All of you guys sound hungry. Nobody's sitting and living off of the name and the legacy of the band. This album to me sounds like a band who's releasing their second album or their third album that still have a lot to prove. That's how it comes across.
That's good. You know, I feel I'm still 17, you know, just the old bones, you know, the old bones sometimes. But yeah, I still feel that hunger when we rehearse, when we play, when we write, you know, and I think you got to keep that hunger also as a thrash band. It's most important. The energy and the drive is super important.
Let me ask you this. You don't see a lot new bands, new thrash metal bands doing what you guys have done, which is create a legacy for themselves. You see bands that have started, but then they change, they go into
Yeah.
in a different direction. But
It's very difficult for thrash bands to be recognized and to be successful. You know, it's not a commercial kind of music, you know. So your girlfriend might not like thrash metal, but what your girlfriend likes is important for your life because she wants to go to the show. And you know, so thrash bands don't have this how you call this mainstream drive, you know. So the labels don't sign so many thrash bands, and then the sales are not super crazy. I mean, it's difficult as a young thrash band to sell albums, you know. So there's just a few that made it, like Warbringer
Mhm.
and Evile, maybe from England, and a few others. And but they all also kind of slowed down a bit, you know. They kind of didn't tour so much anymore because it's really difficult for a thrash band. And uh, sometimes young bands come to me, young thrash bands, and say, "Hey, what's the advice and stuff?" And I said, "Hey, don't give up. You know, keep on going because as a thrash band, you need a long breath. It's not like you're the flavor of the month today and bang, you're big. It's like hard work, performance. There's a band like Crysics from
Crysics,
Spain.
they took a break now.
Yeah, see, fantastic band.
Amazing band.
Yeah, they've been touring so hard. They've been gaining the success, and now they're taking a break. You know, because it's hard as a thrash band. And at one point, usually the bands break apart or they change style, like this band from
Like
Finland.
Dust Bolt changed their
Oh,
style.
that's also this band from Finland that toured with us before.
Lost Society.
Lost Society. Now they're sounding like modern metal, and before they were, yeah, a wild thrash band. At one point of the career, it's like, fuck, we don't get recognized, so let's try something new, you know. And I understand it's difficult for the young bands to be recognized by the labels, by the masses, and you know, also, even though the internet is a great tool to put your videos out, but there's also a lot of other bands, you know. And it's difficult for young bands to play on the festivals where you get recognized. So yeah, we always try to bring young bands with us. You know, we brought Crysics along with us, Warbringer, other bands. And but you need a long breath as a thrash band. You got to stand up. You got to try again. You got to stay motivated. And maybe this one album is so good, it's gonna break through. But it's not easy.
No, it's not. It's not.
Yeah.
Another band that's taken a big break is Havoc as well. And I wanted
They're
to
also
get you.
taking a break. Also, I just saw them.
They did. They're coming. They're kind of coming back now again. They played some shows, and I think they're working on a new record. But I just wanted to get your take on that because you've been around obviously forever. You have a huge legacy, so you would be a great mind to talk about that.
Yeah,
Talk.
yeah, but it's a true fact. It's difficult for thrash bands, you know, to make a living, to get paid enough to survive, and you know, after some years, giving all you got, then you might want to have enough money to fill your fridge, or your girlfriend wants a kid or whatever, you know, and then as the band breaks apart or the band takes a break, and yeah, it's not so easy.
One last question for you. Funny enough, we've been talking for half an hour. I didn't ask you any questions that I had written, but because
Hey, read your script.
we're
I
just
told you, read your script.
we're just chatting, which is great, which is great. One last question for you. You guys played in North America a while back. I know it's more expensive now to come back to North America, but in the back of your mind, do you think at some point in time you're gonna return?
We're actually working on it right now because we're coming back for the Milwaukee
Oh,
Metal
Metal
Fest.
Fest.
Yeah. And around that, we want to play a handful of shows. So the thing right now is, the visa and the new administration in America, we don't know how difficult it's going to be to get this visa. We're started the visa process now for that tour. So we want to come over in May, actually, play a couple of shows. Also, one show at least in Montreal, I think. And then we want to come back later with the same visa because it's a year-long visa with a real tour. But first of all, those shows we want to use to promote the album a little bit and just do a selected part of a handful of shows. And then hopefully we can come back later after the European tour and do some more American shows.
I'm hoping to see you guys in Toronto. Last time you guys were here was with Nervosa. That was such a great show.
And
Uh,
it's already like
two
3 years,
years, two,
3 years.
3 years. Yeah, two,
Yeah,
3 years.
yeah.
It was a great show. I had a blast. So I'm dying to see you guys return, but I know the financials are tough.
Yeah, we see. I mean, the visas have doubled, and the problem is the visa takes so long. It's like a 3 month process, and then when the visa takes too long, you have to put the upgraded visa, and it's double price, So it's like $6,000 for the visa, and that's a lot of money, just for the visa. And then you have the flights on top and everything. So just before you come to America, you have to put like 10, 15 grand on the table just before you play the first show,
Yeah, I know it's crazy. It's crazy.
and and it's difficult to get advance. You don't get advance fees from the American promoters. They pay you once you're there. In Europe, the promoters they give you fees ahead. Not in the States and in Canada. So it's always risky for the bands to come to America, and we will want to come back badly, and I hope it's going to happen. I mean, it's going to depend on the reception of the album now also, and we'll be positive that there's going to be a lot of American shows, hopefully within the next 12 months.
I think the reception is going to be great because the album
If
kicks
you
ass.
say so, I count your word.
The album kicks ass. So I'm dying to see you guys in Toronto. Hopefully we'll make it to the list of shows that you guys get to play here. Schmier, thank you very much for your time, man. It's always a pleasure and a blast to talk to you.
My pleasure. Good to see you, and I'm sorry you couldn't go through your list of questions, so we might have to do another one day.
We'll do it another one when you come to Toronto.
Okay, that sounds great. Okay.
All right, man. All the
All
best.
right.
Take care, man.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.